All right, United States Government Accounting Office report with Congressional Committees, August 2021. Military families. Additional DoD actions could better support military foster adoptive families. Contents. All right, let's see. Background. DoD suggests fewer service member fosters seek adoptive. The characteristics were generally similar to the other active duty services members. Federal, state, local agencies as families may lack awareness of available support. Families reported challenges, including enrollment in the military benefits, which may be partially due to the inconsistency between the DoD guidance and regulation, conclusion, recommendation, executive action, agents' comments, or other evaluations. Appendix 1, Object, Scope, and Methodology. Appendix 2, Comparison, Department of Defense, Regulations, Air Force Instruction 363026, related to enrolling foster children in military benefits. Appendix 3, Comments for the Department of Defense. Appendix 4, GAO Context Staff Acknowledgements. Table 1 and Table 2 abbreviations are Adoptive Foster Care Analysis Reporting System, Army Force Instruction Defensive Enrollment Eligibility Reporting System, Offensive Manpower Data Center, DoD, Department of Defense, HHS, Department of Human Health Services, ICP, Interstate Compact Placement of Children, PSC, Permanent Changes Station. All right, August 19, 2021, Congressional Committee to Proclaim 1.3 active duty service members of the military. Similarly, some chose to expand on the family through fostering with adopting a child with a station U.S. military installation. Individuals, including service members, may become a foster parent or adopt a child within the foster care system or other through the private adoption agency or attorney, while the Department of Human Health Services, with the administrator of the program, support foster care adoption children for foster care. The Department of Defense supports service members of the families in need with a variety of the readiness, quality of the life programs. Mission. Military families may face additional challenges with adopting, fostering due to in part with a frequent relocation within and outside of the U.S. for the March 20th, 2019. Department of Defense issued with a report that identified challenges with the service members may face during the adoption fostering process related to the deployment, the transfer, the training, the schedule, the assignment, the deployments, among others. U.S. House of Representatives of the Committee with the Armed Services Report and with the Federal Defense Authorization Act of the fiscal year 2020 included a provision of government accounting office with examine the number of military foster with adoptive families, challenging these families face to the service available to them, and the action federal agencies can take with a better prepare with the support of the family. The report examines what is known about the number of the character of the military foster adoptive service members will foster adoption related support federal, state, and local agencies provide that are specific to military families with the support of the challenges military foster adoptive families faces. We relied on several methodologies that inform other objectives at the federal level with a review of the relevant federal laws, regulation, guides of the program, documents, and reviewed official with the Department of Defense, High Corps of the program, Office of the under the Service Branch, Army, Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Department of Health and Human Services, Children Bureau, and Office of the Administrator of the Children and Families examined what is known about the number of military foster with adoptive families, analyzed Department of Defense data from any time period that covering 2006 through 2020, included data with enrollments of the eligible foster children with the process being adoptive or the pre-adoptive by service members from the Defense Enrollment and Eligibility Reporting System to examine the characteristics of service members of foster the pre-adoptive child with the dependent service members due to the military support available to foster adoptive families with the analyzed with the Department of Defense data with the covering of the same time period with included data service members of the deployment of the contingency tracking system data payments from the made and service members of the reimbursement adoption related expense of the adoption reimbursement system of the data and with the adoption foster care consolation case management systems to help inform all other research objectives to gather additional information about foster and adoption related to support specific to the military family to conduct the virtual visit to four selected states: California, Colorado, Florida, and Georgia, with the state that we visited with a non-generalized group of the four selected military installations serving active duty members of four service branches, as well as the selected state, local child welfare, private placement agencies located in these states between the September 2020 and October 2020. We selected military installations state with a higher number of the active duty service members that aimed with variation across the site and sites with an installation size GLA geographic location, enforced, selected, safely, and reviewed. Official with the relevant state with local agencies, representative of the military programs office to provide support with the service of families with the installation. Because we realize non-generalized samples of the site and state with the reviews of the intent and even the review that do not represent the views of all the state of the localities the installation provided with the foster adoption related support. There is specific to the military families together. Information used available support of the challenge of the faith of the military foster with adoptive families with a virtual discussion group of 29 military families from 4 service branches and gave of the foster adoption process U.S. while with the active duty status. Our criteria selection discussing group participants included individuals who had experience with a foster child with adopting a foster care with a privately adopting U.S. citizen child within the last 5 years who have active duty service members married over the partner one during with the fostering domestic adoption process to obtain additional information available to support a challenge faced with the military foster with adoptive families with the interviewed and representatives. For the national level, the organization perspective of the families of the foster or the adopted. In this report, we define the use of qualifiers as such as use or some of the many, most, and almost all of the quantity of the responses of the military foster with adoptive families official with the vicar of the federal military selected state local agencies be accessed with the effort of the Department of Defense communicate necessary quality information achieve the objective against the standard of in control and standard of internal control of the federal government with the information communication of the relevant criteria with the more information or scope of the methodology. See Appendix 1. We conduct the performance audit of the March 2020 through August 2020 for 1. According to generally accepted the government auditing standard of the chamber the requirement that we plan to perform the audit, other obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence to provide reasonable basis for the other findings conclusion based on our audit objectives. We believe that evidence obtained provides a reasonable basis for our findings and conclusion based on our audit objectives. Background: Department of Health and Human Services and state and local agencies' roles related to the foster care adoption. Various stakeholders may be involved with the overseeing and administration of the foster care placement of adoption of the children from foster care adoptions, private domestic adoptions, private adoption, federal, state, local, private agencies, various in role with respect to foster care adoption system, foster care placement, foster care adoptions involve children who were removed from their families generally due to neglect or abuse of the place under the responsibility of child welfare agency. Child entered the foster care system, child welfare agency determines appropriate temporary placement. Often foster families aim to reunify with the child with the family if safe to do so, then to find another safe and permanent home for the child with a quickly and possibly private adoption primarily involved with the infant or adoption with a step parent with generally are done without child welfare agencies involved because of the child being adopted are not in foster care. Rules of U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, local welfare agencies, private agencies. We have foster care placement, foster care adoption, private and domestic adoption. Federal, the Department of Health and Human Services administers the funding of the support state with the foster with adoption assistance program, monitor with the state programs, and ensure the compliance with the federal requirement that provide with the guidance with the technical assistance with the state, including contact with the facility, license recruitment, retention assets with the foster families who have adopted the foster, and then it goes into the state with the state primarily responsible for the establishing and administering of the foster care with adoption assistance programs, specifically applicable federal requirements included with the setting of the equipment of foster families home on the state with the training with the most post-adoption services among others local in some state with the county with the local child welfare with the agency with the care out with the foster family licensing process, including conducting homestay with the provided training, connecting families with the provided post-placement, post-adoption services. In some state with the state and county child with the welfare agencies contract with the private placement agency to carry out with the foster family licensing program process, which may include concluding home studies, providing training with the connecting with the families who are providing post-placement and post-adoption services. Private domestic adoption states that the requirement of the private domestic options in their state would include with the homestay with the pre-adoption training with their own through the state licensing standard. The other requirement private adoption agency and attorney states may also set with the requirement of post-adoption services for the private domestic adoptions. When facilitating with adoption with the infant, the private adoption agency, private attorneys work with the private birth mother and parents of the family seeking to adopt with the child. Private adoption agency may also carry out with the homestay with provided training. All right. This court also plays a key role in the foster process at the federal level. The Death and Department of the Department of Health and Human Services provide the federal funds support with the state of the child with the welfare system under the Title 4B and the 4E with the Social Security Act with the Title 4E. Provides the largest amount of federal child welfare funding helps the state with cover the state costs associated with the foster care with the children adoption. Foster care with included financial support with the care of the eligible children with the removed from the homes as well as from the families with adopted eligible children with a special need with the foster care system. It's part of administrative oversight of these programs. The Department of Health Human Services oversee the monitor state with the ensure the child with the welfare program, include the foster care with the program support with the family, pursuing foster care adoptions, and complying with the applicable federal laws and regulations. According to the Department of Health and Human Services official with the Department of Health and Human Health and Service Health Um, Services will include the conduct through the private adoption agencies or attorneys or others. State-regulated adoption process within their state will include the private adoption, foster care with adoption, state with the responsible administration with the foster care program consistent and applicable to federal laws, rules, regulations, state laws generally governed with a pre-placement process with accessible, sustainable prospect of foster adoptive parents, but laws and policy with the processes vary from the state to state with becoming the foster family with the state child welfare agency generally require families to undergo a licensing process that include the homestead with the adopt the foster care or privately. Every state requires families to participate in homestead with the age of according to the Department of Health and Human Services with its homestead with the general includes but not limited to criminal background check with an interview with a home visit with which can take up to 10 to 20 10 months, 2 to 10 months depending on the agency waiting list, training requirements of the adoption. In addition, most state of the agencies require training with a prospective foster with adoptive the parent with the prior to with the determining the homestead with the process the training with the design to help prospective parents better understand foster care adoption issues that include with attachment of the bonding with need of the children in foster care with the type of the child, the ability to need, that could meet with the applicable state of the agency requirement. States also are responsible for the ranging needs served with the children in foster care with the main set with the requirements of providing services after the adoption have occurred because the children in the foster care have often suffered abuse with neglect with the other maltreatment they may have been experienced with the trauma. Many children in foster care may also have special needs with the register. Research suggests that the children in foster care are significantly worse mental and physical health compared to children in general. Population: children in foster care with adoption with foster care with a thoroughly with elected need with support or with the trauma and informed with the mental health service to those infants that adopt with the private adoption that may have a special need with a less likely to have the experience with the trauma because of the adoption generally occur soon after birth. At local level, depending on the state of the county with the private placement of the agency with the administrator with the various aspects of the foster care placement, the foster care with adoption, with the private adoption agency with the determined with typically facility with the private adoption with the local level, the agency with the individual working directly with the family to facilitate steps involved foster adoption process. Department of Defense support for the service members within their families. Department of Defense private and network support for the installation throughout the virtual military service provide with the service members with their families to include the service available to military with adopted families. These military supports overseen the administration of the Department of Defense, the headquarters of the Office of the Service of the Branch of the Installation Programs, Office of the headquarters of the Department of Defense, Office of the Deputy of Assistant Secretary of the Defense of Military Community and Family Policy, Military Community and Family Policy Office provides policy and program oversight to ensure military community quality level life programs that are designed and extend to serve the need of the active duty service members of the family, the military community with the family policy office with a certain office with the oversight of the over the community quality of the program and policy office of the military family readiness policy with the responsible for the programs policy with the promote military families well-being readiness quality with the life of the children youth programs military and family support center with the office of military community support programs is responsible for the program policy oversight of the programs and with the provide with the virtual in-person service of the family assist with the non-medical counseling and information referral services through military one source call of the center of the military community outreach office with the responsible for managing information about the program benefit of the military one source website. See figure 2. See Department of Defense Military Community Family Policy Office with provide support relative to the military foster adopting families, starting with the Office of the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Military Community Family Policy Office of the Military Family Readiness, Military Family Support Centers, New Parent Support Program, Children and Youth Programs, and exceptional family member programs off the military community support programs, military family life counseling program, military one source call center, and the military community outreach off the military one source website. In addition, the Department of Defense headquarters office serves as the service branch of the general, the responsible for the policy program, the oversight of the supervision, most of the mentioned military programs, serve with the administrator of the installation level, the coordinator of the Department of Defense official for the service of the branch, for the responsible for the policy of the program, oversight of the legal assistance, the office of the installation, provide the no cost legal benefit, the legal assistance services of the service member, their families, military champions, assigned to installation support, service members and their family providing counseling services and other spiritual guidance. Service members of the must enroll to the eligible dependent of the Department of Defense military with a benefit system of the Department of Defense with enrollment eligibility reporting system with the dependent of the game of the active of the certain military service with the benefit according to the Department of Defense regulation governing with the procedure to enroll with the dependent of the defense with enrollment eligibility reporting system foster child with a pre-adopted child with adoptive child or eligibility to enroll with the service member dependent of the date of the certain with the record documentation problem with the enrollment of the date of the dependent age of the 10 or older to provide an identification card give the access of the program and facilities for the installation support of the military families, such as morale, welfare, and recreation programs and commissionary, among the other programs, and so with additional the pre-adoptive adoption children who are enrolled in defense of the eligibility and defense and enrollment and eligibility reporting system can access with additional benefit with the military health care program known as TRICARE, but foster children are generally not eligible to access TRICARE. DO data suggests service members foster with the seek with adoptive with the characteristics were generally similar to the other active duty service members. Between 2016 and 2020, the service member with the fostering with the parts with adopting with the child with a period adoptive represents with a very small with the number with the total active duty service member population, specifically our analysis for the Department of Defense available to DO's data found that 2,174 members with the either with the foster with a period adopted child with enrolled with the DO's within 5-year time period with we studied. But by way of comparison, there were 1.3 million active duty service members in the 2019. Between 2016 and 2020, most of the members of pre-adopted child with a foster child based on the available DO's enrollment data. For example, the cutoff of the 5-year study with 1,961 service members had one or more of the pre-adopted children enrolled with the DO's. Compared to 229 service members, one or more foster child that were enrolled with the DO's. We found the majority of the group of the service members had only one foster child or a pre-adopted child. 68% pre-adopted child, 73% of them enrolled with the years during the 5-year period study. In addition to small population, 16 service members have both foster and pre-adopted children during this time period. Available data suggests that a smaller proportion of service members choose the foster care with compared with adult outside of the military with the main foster with the children specifically found with the although with the number of the active duty service members represented about 1/2% of the adult U.S. population. 2019 with the number of the foster children service members represented with a small percentage 0.04% with the total number of children in foster care in the year that year. Officials interviewed with 26 programs offered and selected with the military installation 8 state with the local agency with a report to have limited experience with working service member of the family interested in pursuing foster care with adoption. For example, the crowd of the force selected the military installation we visited with the experience with the official of the military program during with limited to no interaction foster and adoptive programs. The office of the official for the one installation of the new parent support program said that they may work with the 5 foster with adopted families a year, but the official with the 2 programs are said to have with the staff and be unaware of the foster and adopted children are using when the programs and left of the toll to be the family request for the foster with adoption related to family service of the similar official with the aid with the selected state. Some of the local agencies are told that the U.S. Of the military families represent a small number of the client. For example, the official with the one state child with a welfare agent for the said were only with a handful of the military families the last year, but looking with a foster with adoptive within their state. Official with another state child with a welfare agency said that they approved of the 300 foster with adoptive families in 1 year that would include our 4 families. Though small, relatively overnumbered, the foster with adoptive families work with and county child welfare private placement agency with the new state with a report of having experience with work with military families. Frequently, officials from the private placement agencies explain that they interact frequently with military families due within part of the agency embedded with the military community. How awareness of the agency spread with the word over the mouth. The characteristics of a service member of the foster pre-adopted child with enrolled with the DEERS and core with the service branch employment status were generally similar with compared to overall active duty service member population. Some of the variation from the rank, for example, the will found with the distribution service member of the foster pre-adopted child by service branch with a 5-year term of the period studied similar to the overall distribution members of each of the service branch. Specifically, the largest population service members of the foster pre-adopted child were from the Army, followed by the Air Force, Navy, and the Marine Corps. See Table 1. Our 2016 total number of service members totaled 900, 679, 415, and 170. From 2016 to 2020. Our analysis of the deployment of the Department of Defense Contingency Tracking System, 29% of the service members with a foster pre-adopted children experienced 1 or more deployments during the 5-year time period. According to the analysis, service members with the pre-adopted child with deployed with approximately the same with the rate of overall active duty service population for the more service member with the foster child with a service member with the pre-adopted child with similar deployment rate. With the service member had the foster child with 22% deployed once, and the 16% with deployed more than one during the 5-year. Over the service member had with the pre-adopted child with 25% of the deployed once, and 15% of the deployed more than once for the same time period. Service member with the foster pre-adopted child with have some of the variation rank compared with the overall military population. Specifically found with the officer with the foster with the pre-adopted child with a 3.6 times rate. If it's enlisted service members related to the representation overall active duty population 2019, 82% of the active duty service members of 2019 were enlisted, and 18% with the officer with the. However, across the 5-year time period, we saw 57% of the service members of foster pre-adopted child were enlisted, must compare with 43% of the officers with these dependents. Federal, state, local agencies, some of the assistance of the targeted military foster with adoptive families, some of the families may lack awareness for all available support. Some support targeted military foster adoptive families, other the service of all the military members and their families support targeted military foster adoptive families. Department of Defense and Department of Health and Human Services with the select of the state local agency target some of the support reviews specifically to assist the military family pursuing the foster with adoption of the child most targeted to support foster focus for the adoptive family. The Department of Defense provide with a service member adoption related to leave with the financial reimbursement and treatment with adoption related expense as well as the consultant for the adopted foster family. In addition, with the Health and Department of Health and Human Services selected state and local child welfare agencies provide foster with adoption related information resource with the financial assistance certain military adopted families with the C figure 3 with the geographically depicting federal and selected state and local agencies assistant target of the military foster adopted families. Figure 3, the Department of Defense, Department of Health and Human Services selected state, local child welfare agency assisting the targeted military foster and adoptive families. We have the adoption related to benefits, the adoption related to leave. The general service members adopt with the child eligible for up to 6 weeks of the primary caregiver, the release up to 21 days of the secondary caregiver leave, depending on the service branch reimbursement of the adoption related to service member eligible to receive the reimbursement, qualifying expense with incurred with the adoption child within under the 18 years of age of the adoption is found with a maximum reimbursement amount of $2,000 per adopted child and $5,000 per calendar year. Adoption foster care consolation. Military one source for the officer with the adoption with the foster care with the consolation service members of the families locally with the 24-hour, 365 days a year. The Department of Health and Human Services military adoption specific publication. The Department of Health and Human Services and Service of the Children Bureau of the publisher providing funding of the publication focused on supporting military families. Option is assisting these families. Examples of selected state and local after state and local assistance information. Once stated, reported with available financial assistance of the military families with adopted child with special needs. Some of the local agencies reported efforts to inform service members about fostering and adoption. Or the Department of Defense of adoption related to leave as part of the Department of Defense military parental leave of the program active with duty service members who qualifying in adoption and eligible to receive with a 6 weeks primary care with leave up to 21 days with a 3 weeks secondary care leave with must be used with one increment of 12-month period following an adoption. Some of these service branches with the differential parent leave the policy regarding secondary caregiver. For example, the Army and the Air Force with authorized with a 21-day leave with a secondary caregiver. The Navy, the Marine Corps with authorized 14-day leave with a caregiver. According to DoD official with the difference of the secondary care leave of the policies reflect each of the service branches desire to provide maximum benefits for their members with maintaining readiness for the 18 to 29 military families that interviewed report they were aware of the use of adoption related to leave with 11 from whom would have reported the leave to assist with their adoption. For example, the military adopted family told the youth to approve of taking the 21 days of leave after they have adopted the baby to discharge from the hospital help the family to adjust for the have a newborn in the home. According to some of the military leave and adoptive families interviewed, approve of the use of adoption related leave may vary with the service members to change over the command with the unit and unit. The Department of Defense policy with the military parental leave program grants discretion in the unit command with approving leave under certain circumstances. One military family told us that because it took 4 years to finalize the adoption, the husband command denied his request to take the adoption leave because of the child was in the care during the 4-year period. There was no considered. They were therefore not considered new parents. Reimbursement related expenses. Service member eligible to receive the reimbursement of the certification quality expense incurred with adoption with a child under age 18 with adoption is from with a qualifying expense included, not limited to an adoption by a single person entered adoption inter-country with adoption with an adoption with a child with special needs expense for the reimbursement of the service member to be no more than $2,000 with adoption with an individual child with no more than $5,000 adoption multiple channel each calendar year. According to the analysis of the national data of the Department of Defense Financial Accounting Service, reimbursement payments for the payment of 2,562 service members reimbursed for the adoption-related expenses between 2006 and 2020 over the 5-year time period with a 61% of the service members reimbursed for the enlisted members, for the additional 45% of the service members reimbursed for the Army, followed by the 29% from the Air Force, 17% of the Navy, and 10% of the Marine Corps. Almost all the military families adopted families interviewed were aware of the military reimbursement benefit of adoption-related expenses, 13 of whom were reported youth benefits some of the adoption costs as few families. Civil reimbursement came from a small fraction of the overall of the adoption cost for the $10,000 with the adoption. In some cases, it can be difficult to pay all of the cost of the upfront for the adoptions must be found before receiving the reimbursement payment. Some of the other families said with the reimbursement payment it was helpful when the one family reported that they covered all of their out-of-pocket costs. Adoption fosters consolation. The website with the call with the same of the Department of Defense Military, one source of the Office of the Adoption Foster Care with the Consolation, service of the Adoption Consolation provided the with a member of the family information adoption process available to the military adoption financial assistance benefits such as the military reimbursement adoption related to expense for the resource of the adoption of the agency for determining the safe specific adoption requirements. According to Department of Defense official with the consolation will also review the military considerations of the needs to move or deploy the overseas over the service members and their families can be aware of the potential impact completing the adoption process of the foster of the parent with the consolation of the available to include the assessment of the need of the information resource of the referral of the save of the resources as appropriate according to the Department of Defense official with the according to the analysis of the Department of Defense data for the total of the 2,911 adoption foster care with the consolation conducted between the fiscal year of the 2006 to 2020 across the four service branches within our review and adoption of the number of the consolation conducted with the military family across the four service branches generally increased over the time period of the DOD officer for this shall respond for the oversight of the program so that the increase of the consolation may be explained by increased call of center utilization since 2008 when they attributed to the efforts of the build awareness of the resource over the 5-year period with the distribution consolation service branch shows generally consistent overall distribution active duty service member population in each branch for 2019 for example, the highest number of adoption consolations were the service members of the Army, 1,339, while by the Air Force, 679, Navy, 590, the Marine Corps, 303, with the 29 military fathers of adoptive families. Over the 29 military foster and adoptive families, we interviewed 7 of the families report of being aware of the adoption consolation of the resources provided through the military one source website within call center that could support them. In addition, 5 families reported that using support, and a few said that generally the information they received was the same that what they found through their own online research. Department of Health and Human Services say with the local child welfare agencies, Department of Health and Human Services and Information Research over the 2021 Department of Health and Human Services Children Bureau published posts to the Children Welfare Information Gateway website information content specific to military families pursuing with adoption and updating information previously published in 2016. For example, the one fact sheets targeted with military families considering adoption included the information adoption process available to military benefits services in circumstances unique military families with one or more service members to pay that pose to the challenge during the adoption process. The Children Bureau also published guidance adoption with work on how the military families pursuing adoption guidance would include the information benefit the military families adopted the resource of the children potential challenges solutions working with the military resource of the adoptive assisted adoptive family organization that can help support the military family. See figure 4 example the relevant Department of Health and Human Services the Children Bureau publication edition with the part of the collaboration began in 2002 between the Department of Health and Human Services and the Adoption Exchange Association and the Department of Health and Human Services provide funding with Adopt Us Kids developed a report to provide information practitioners assisting military families considering foster care or adoption. It shows these 2 websites working with military families that they pursue with adoption children and youth military families considering adoption. State local agency assistant and information official with the 4 state local agency identified resource with the targeted military foster with adoptive family. The official we spoke with the one state with their state with a recently passed legislation provide financial benefit of the military family with adopted children, especially when the need for the child welfare system. In addition, official 3 local agencies told us effective to provide the information military service members fostering about fostering with adopting children. For example, officials with one child county would welfare agencies would interview with a total of the 10 of the recruitment event for foster or adoptive parent with the local military installation responsible for the interest of the service members of their family. Other supports on their service members and their family. Department of Defense provided the other supports the service members and their families with a concluded not specifically focus on the foster or adoptive family, the counseling and the referral service. See figure 5. Description of these supports available to select with the Department of Defense programs offices. We have the available support with the selected military program offices with how they support and apply with the foster or adoptive family needs. Military Family Support Centers with the provides program with the ready build with readiness for resilient positive outcomes. Serve with the members and their families. Serve with the conclude with the information referral with the foster, the care, the adoption, wellness, connect with family, legal and families to local relevant agencies such as the local county child and welfare agencies. Military Family Life Counseling Program provide with the non-medical counseling referral with the mental health. Serve with the children. Serve with the family and serve with the members. Serve with the kin. Serve with the military foster adoptive family with eligible children and similar needs. Children and youth programs provide instructional educational programs as well as the children care installation school liaison provides support resources during educational channel with the transition military connected youth. Serves available to eligible foster child adoption children. New parent support program provides support with the parents, newborn, very young parents of those who have the risk of factor of abuse and neglect. Support can assist with the military foster adoptive family transition, new child into the home. Exemption family member program provides support to serve with the members of the family members who have special medical educational needs. Serve with the family with the special needs and can include the information referral to the agency. Serve with the foster adopted children. Legal assistance provides no cost legal assistance. Serve with can include the overview of the adoption process, the associated costs for the assistance with the filing legal paperwork. Serve with the members of their families who are interested in pursuing adoption. Chaplain officer with the support of the spiritual moral well-being. Serve with the members of and families include with providing confidential counseling and advice for the commander of the religious, spiritual, and moral matters. Assistance can include counseling, service member of the family with the foster adoption process, serving as advocate, service member of the command. According to the officer of the interviewed, across the four selected with the installation family with the foster with adopting may find with the support health, addressing their needs. For example, the official with the military family life with the counselor, also with the selected installation of the and their counselor can provide with the post-adoption with the information counseling, service with the adoptive family to help with the prepare with the move, with the connect with them to the need, reach over the new area with the many with the military family, the interview told with the finding local services. So this new therapist with the foster with adoptive child with the new school will provide specialized services with the new foster care with the agency to work with becoming the license with the community difficulty after each move with the additional Department of Health and Human Services guidance. Military adoptive families with the exemption family member program can assist the member families with the eligible children before and during and after the permanent change of station. Move providing information referral to help family navigate medical and educational system. 1. Military families were interviewed and foster children mentioned receiving the helpful resource of the program child would be eligible to access. Official families who were interviewed had limited awareness available to the Department of Defense supports that can assist foster and adoptive families. Officials we spoke to the cost of the 3 selected installation for stay with the local agencies, so they lacked awareness of the military support, but they could assist with the foster and adoptive family addition less than a half of the 29 military families we spoke to. We were aware of the range of the Department of Defense support where they could provide with the foster adoption related assistance. For instance, official 14 programs officer for the cost of the 4 installation said they lacked information side of the military foster adoptive population foster adoption process, or whether the referral families interested in foster adopting similar official with the local child with the welfare agents we spoke said that they lacked an understanding of the military support available to families to be able to refer to families when needed. For example, the official of the private placement agency with one state told us the agency was likely more information about mental health child care with the other social services support available to the installation better support with the family through the process. The official of the state with the child with the welfare agency told us it would be helpful to know the equivalent of the installation help with the trauma related to the issue with the child may face. Now, military foster adoptive families can obtain the access for the support with the families interview with the report with the lack of awareness. Many of the military support identified could help with assist with during the foster adoption process. For example, the 2 military adoptive families we interviewed said they were aware of legal assistance officer, but did not believe that the officer of the office could provide any assistance with adoption. One of these families told us they never sought help with the private adoption with paperwork because they viewed legal assistance officer as only helping the military-related matters. Crossing military program officer for selected installations, we reviewed efforts of the inform the military community about available to support that could assist the foster adoptive families limited to the official of the more than half of the program officer the interview with the cost of the floor installation. Some of the outreach efforts of it did not include the information of the server that could assist the members of each family, their families in fostering and adopting and official of the 6 programs said that although the programs including the children and youth and family life counseling with the discover the welcome and the broad briefings from the server the member of the new installation and information presented is not specifically for the adoptive family and properly cover the program. No focus now, not focused on the family. The military families interviewed report with some of the Department of Defense support. Serve with all of the service members of the family during the process of the foster adoption and had the range of the youth of the web of the support were helpful with the meet with a specific need. For example, the 2 military families told the U.S. so that the military and family life council to provide the referral with a specific mental health service, the medical community research with one of the families. The council had worked with well informed with the foster adoption related issues such as the loss of attachment and the trauma which helped with the family, but foster child who had a hard time adjusting the family. In another case, a family whose children in the youth program said it was very helpful to do active youth support programs, other activities foster children previously had no access to the extracurricular activities. Other families spoke of the difficulty finding foster with adoption related support with the selected program officer that included one of the families that requested, but it did not receive the assistance from the children and youth program. The coping skill with the emotional regulation for the adopted children who was the military child care center Families of the military children generally have the issue of the grief of the separation, post-traumatic stress of the similar to the foster children. They expect the person will have at the center of the be more prepared to address these issues. For the official, we interviewed access with the military support office with it, said that they are not required to be trained with on foster adoption process as if it did not focus support with the office with the similar members, service members within their families. Official with the 7th program children office spoke with the general with the training requirements related to working with the children experience with the difficulties such as with the trauma and attachment of the family and transition due to the deployment. Is official with the said through such training is not targeted to foster care with adoption, with most of the foster and adoptive families who face similar issues. Selected quotes of the military family experience with the various Department of Defense. Or the Department of Defense often for the target with the other support services members of the family. No single military program offer that provides essential to the repository information military family seeking to assist in the fostering adoption. According to our analysis of the information with an interview with the Department of Defense official with the military select with the local agency to share the information with the central location would be helpful. For both families, military personnel who may assist each family with some of the nothing of the central location information would help with the families bouncing around from the office of the office to help military personnel referral with the family and quote with adopting and fostering adoption. In addition, foster adoptive families well interviewed so that they would likely to be informed of military support with the website with the point of the person knowledgeable about the foster adoptive process located in one place such as the family support similar to those checklists for the process of available support. The goals of the network military community with a family policy programs to build with a support system with a provide need with a sure that the military and the family tell that we are limited to awareness outreach for the difficulties navigating support among various stakeholders, staying with the internal control of the federal government, stay with the management with should seek with quality information, with communicate with the internal and external of the parties to each with the objective. Furthermore, standard stay with the management should select with the appropriate method to communicate with the concern of the factors such for the audience available the information when it's needed. Without promoting an awareness available support with the consider for the military foster adoptive families centralized location, the Department of Defense will potentially miss the opportunity to provide continuing support and need with the military families with the process of looking for the growth of the families through fostering and adoption children. Families report challenges included with the enrollment of the military benefit system, which may be partially due to the inconsistency between DoD guidance and regulations. Challenges related with the frequent movement deployment can delay with the interrupt the foster care placement and adoption process. More of the 29 military family adopted family with the almost over the official with the 53 federal selected with the military state with the local agencies interviewed said mobile lifestyle with the military, particularly orders with the PCS permanent change of station and the move of the deployment, the challenging of the military families with the pursuit of the foster care, the placement, adoption, additional almost all of the family before the permanent change of station, move of the deployment of present certain difficulties during the foster of adoption process, including the difficulty completing war, having to redo required pre-placement process, the insufficient time with the foster with the final life, and adoption of the challenges can result in the delay with the interpretation of the foster care of the placement and adoption process as well as the other impacts on the other families. Alright, difficult competing with the required pre-placement process of many of the families. Some of the officials with an interview with the chef of the permanent change with the safe, the move, with the deployment, the president, channel, the completing with the required with the placement, with the process of the become of the foster, the adoptive parent, with the crew, with the background check, with the home serve, with the interview with some of the family officials. So it can result of the delays over half of the military family reported channel with completing of the background check with the multiple state of the country that have not been stationed within over years. The one military family said that they obtained with the necessary documentation complete with the required background check with most of the time consuming the part of the private adoption profit. Another military said with a background check with 4 to 5 states, including one going back to 25 years, significantly delay the foster parents for licensing process. Additional to military families said with experience of delayed foster care placement with adoption profit has been covered to deploy with reassignment with a spouse or with an unavailable to certain part of the process, such with homestead with the interview. For example, the one said that they were a third or fourth attempt with adopt the foster child when one spouse was assigned with a temporary duty to the station with another base from the 7 months. The spouse who stayed at home had limited to contact with the husband during the period of time, making it difficult to complete the homestead in a timely manner. Redoing pre-placement process in addition with the difficult completing the pre-placement process, the permanent change of station move that can result of the family having to do redo background check with the homestead with the training because of the state specific requirements of changing with the residents and which some said can further delay and interrupt the foster with adoption profit of the family. The official said with the lack of the transferability with the foster family license, the private adoption homestead with the cost of the state can leave with additional stress from all military family. The decision delay with the giving of the pursuit of the private adoption profit. For example, the one family said that they were a mill over the homestead with the private adoption with the service member received the permanent change of station orders early and expect the result of the family having to redo with the homestead with the homestead of new residents and delaying their adoption process of another military family pursuing private adoption said they may end their adoption journey if they would have to redo the home study process following the permanent change of station move. Insufficient time with the foster placement of an adoption. More than half of the military foster families spoke with the official of the 13 selected military, state, and local agency of the military families have a difficult fostering child because of limited time of the permanent change of station move. Some of the noting of the in-row foster care placement. With an example, the one military foster family said with the permanent change of station move, the interrupt the foster care placement, the result of the children being transferred to with another foster home. A few officials of the state and local agencies interviewed and showed they aim to minimize the number of the different placements of the foster children can impact with the children are placed with the military families. For example, the official of the one placement agency told us they require families to require that will be local 2 years in order to begin with a foster parent licensing process. Another placement agency, the official said they would not place with the foster children of the military family, but they anticipate with the permanent change of station, move with the faster foster with the child permanency plan with the reunify with the biological parent because the child would be unable to move with the outstate of the foster family. One military family interview said they tried to become a licensed foster parent but were denied, saying that the foster care agency staff concerned about placing a child in their home because the family may not stay in the area long enough. A few families said that they had considered the balance of career progression with pursuing assignments that would allow them to move less frequently so that they could have time to foster. For example, one family said that although the best career decision was over the member's spouse took an assignment to remain in installation with another 3 years to give families time to foster care of the placement and possibly adopt the foster care from foster care. Most of the military adoptive families and officials of many of them federal and selected military, state, and local agencies spoke with the sheriff of the limited time between permanent change of stations. Moves also make the moves more challenging to complete with adoption process, particularly those with adoption of the foster care. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, over the day of the family to foster with a child with a permanent period over the time ranging from 6 months to 2 years before they can adopt the child. With addition of the process of determining with the parental right before initiating the adoption process can vary in length. Some of the families tried to adopt with the foster care told that as a permanent care change of station move that had would interrupt the process of adopting a child placed in their home. For example, the one family who wanted to adopt the foster care that said with a permanent change of station or with a change unexpectedly leaving with an insufficient time before with a move with adoptive with a child would place them in their home. The few families that said that they respond with a limited time with the permanent change of station moves decided to pursue with a private adoption instead of adopting from foster care with the power of the military family to adopt the privately. Also with expressed with the uncertainty with about the length of the private adoption process have the difficulty finalizing with adoption before the permanent change of station move with a deployment. For example, the one military family said they took 4 years to finalize with the private adoption because of the process was interrupted each time with one spouse deployed, despite the request to defer the employment to avoid adoption when interrupted. The two military families said they split up with the household so the one spouse could remain in the area finalized with adoption. State agency official of the placement agency official who worked with the families who did explain that once the adoption final, the military family has legal custody of the child, but the family can more easily relocate the child. Officials from selected state local agencies as well. The military families interviewed provided examples of some of the flexibility with the preventive delay with the interruption, foster placement, and adoption process due to frequent move or deployment. For example, the official of the two local children welfare agencies told us provided information. Some of the member command units, which they held some of the families delayed with a permanent change of station move in order to finalize foster care and adoption. According to the Department of Defense policy, practical personal permanent change of station when move should occur in a time when they allow the family would in process adopt the child to complete the adoption and avoid disruption in adoption proceedings. One military family said that the member of the command chain with a permanent change of station so they didn't have to move over 3 days before the adoption child was born. Officials survived state with local children welfare agency also told the flexibility provided by the military family expediting an adoption process allowing with the adoption finalization even if the member parent could not attend with the court proceeding in person allowing with the deployed parent to complete with the required training virtually. Difficult enrolling foster and pre-adopted children may be due to the inconsistency between the Department of Defense guidance for the regulation limited to the awareness among the Department of Defense personnel on eligibility criteria. Alright, military families interviewed reported facing barrier of the enrolling foster pre-adopted children with the military benefit of both of the groups that are eligible to the under the Department of Defense policy regulations. Specifically, 12 of the 29 military family interviews say with the face of the ounce of the enrolling foster with the pre-adopted challenge in the year of the Department of Defense centralized benefit the database for the which is generally with the necessary the dependent of the service member the success with certain military benefits and with the recreation privilege of the health care with the pre-adopted children with the 10 of these families said with the military personnel responsible for enrolling service members dependent of the local installation unaware of the loss of the pre-adopted children and eligible to enroll with the years with the required documents and need with the enroll with them. A few other military families said they did not know of the foster with them. A few other military families said they did not know of the foster pre-adopted children were eligible to enroll with the deer, but according to the family's interview with the difficulties enrolling foster pre-adopted children, years delayed assess of the available military services and benefits such as installation, identification card, child service, dividend, installation, TRICARE, medical benefits of pre-adopted children, the barriers of the enrolling of the foster child with the deer with the DOD personnel, the responsibility enrolling eligible family member of the deer with the crop of the four selected installation, tool of the preferred Air Force instruction 386 to 3026 AM, joint service the documentation developed the service that apply with the cross with the uniform service the branch with service level guidance with the eligibility required with the document the deer with the enroll with the Army Air Force instruction implemented with the deer departmental deer's enrollment policy proceed with the development of the Department of Defense Human Resource Activity and coordinate with the representatives from each service branch over the advise with the Defense with Human Resource Activity deers related to issue with the policy recommendation oversight of the deer's operation. However, we found that information with the Army Air Force instruction with the foster child with enrollment inconsistent with the Department of Defense and regulations problem potentially contributing to the confusing among with the person who enroll an eligible family member of the deer's military family. For example, the regulation defined with the foster children differently and another type of the dependent and award. A list of the different document requirements for the enroll with the two type of the dependent with the deer with the Defense Home and Resource Activity official will explain what the require the documentation and enroll with the award. It's more extensive than those of the foster child because unlike a foster child with a war with eligible to accept the military health care with provide certain criteria with the met with the yet with we found multiple sections of the AFI with the ward foster children not treated with a separate type of the dependent with the instead of the overlap. We also found Army Force Air Force instruction lack keys to information required with the document with the enroll with the foster child with a list of the record documents to enroll with the foster child with missing with the two key section with the Air Force instruction where with such information listed with the other type of the dependents for the comparison of the information the Air Force instruction with the Department of Defense regulation on the foster child with the year's enrollment requirements to see Appendix 2 of the DoD official with the Ministry of the update with the Air Force instruction confirmed that the information foster child with eligibility enrollment of the Air Force instruction does not align with the information over the list of the DoD regulation official explained more specifically information foster child enrollment was led off due with the Air Force instruction due with the pay part of the challenge of the establishing uniform policy with the pursuit of the foster child with enrollment across the multiple service branches. In addition, the official said that because of the documentation of the foster child with the placement with a very state with the document review with the process can be more with the come up with a person with who enroll with the eligible family member of the deer with especially those who are less experienced with the deer during our interview selected installation personnel we spoke with it said with little experience with enrolled foster child with ultimately overlapping information with the Air Force instruction enrolling a war foster child with the main pose of the barrier with the personal military family to accurately identify with the documentation required to enroll the foster child that may further contributed to the confusion around with whether the foster children are eligible to how to enroll with the recording with the Department of Defense official to be an inaccurate information military family the personal with the from the deers over the interview with the required with the documentation enroll with the foster child with the deer with the illustrated with the confusion with the instance that with one military family said that in order to enroll the foster child in the deer they were told to provide documentation demonstrating that the child was living in the household for more than 12 months. Similarly, an official was selected the installation service members of the must show how the foster children reside with a service member at least 12 consecutive months eligible to enroll in the deers receiving the base identification card with the success of the other service on baseball for the individual. These examples describe the required documentation enrolled in award or foster child of the deer for the according regulation officials. We spoke with the officer of the Ministry of the updates of the Air Force instruction told if the official plane with the initiative of the request to update with the 2017 Air Force instruction which provide opportunity to Air Force instruction consistent with the regulation as is March 2021. The officer had not yet initiated the request establishing the time frame and update with the Air Force instruction. 5. With the 17 military families interviewed to discuss the difficulties around the foster care with the deer for the few describe the impact of their family. The two families who lived in the installation site with the difficulty enrolling with the foster child children and deer prevented the children from receiving the identification card assessing the installation service including service to children youth programs. One family said they have the difficulty of obtaining the identification card. Teenage foster service the youth that have been living with them for several months as a result of the teenager could not enter the access installation credit status installation service without presence of another family member who which also limited the teenager sense of the belonging with the other family with a teenage foster, so youth unable to participate after school programs, all use their installation facilities and with the friends, such as the gym and the convenience store or the convenience store because they were unable to enroll in the youth adhere to the DoD, provide the guidance and consistent regulation where documentation role of the foster for the children, the dear for the military families continue to face the challenges enrolling challenge of the fostering access control barriers to enroll the pre-adopted children and dear as compared with the Air Force instruction of foster children enrollment of the Air Force instruction of the pre-adopted child eligibility enrollment generally will reflect the adopted Apple DoD regulations, but the DoD officials who have the Ministry of the Air Force instruction told us the pre-adopted child dependent category may not be understood for the person responsible for enrolling with the dependent of the deer for the recovery of the infrequent and assist with the military adoptive family term among those persons may further contribute lack of the experience of the pre-adopted case, lack of the awareness of the pre-adopted children eligible to enroll with according to the official of the most personal with the interviewed said that they listed little experience with enrolling with pre-adopted children according to the official who helps with the Ministry of the Air Force instructions some of these persons unable to leave it cannot with adopt the enroll the pre-adopted children because the family does not yet have the final adoption court order with a clear showing that if adoption occur through such a court order not required by either regulation or the Air Force instruction on the pre-adoptive enrollment as the official explained with the person responsible enrolling the dependents may feel more comfortable warning the formal documentation such as the court order finalizing the adoption of avoiding enrollment of the dependent of which is not eligible. 9 military families interviewed so the person responsible for enrolling eligible family member the deer with the toll with the pre-adopted child with an eligible to enroll with the deer with the adoption will finalize a few families so with the personal specifically requested the documentation demonstrated the finalized adoption such as the birth certificate, the adoptive parent name but did not recover the Department of Defense regulation. In addition, some of the families with the person have not adhere with the pre-adopted child with the unfair with the recover the documentation and enroll the pre-adopted child. 4 families told us that they brought a printed copy of the related regulation of the deers enrollment with the guy with the local with the deers off with the corresponding require with the document said with the person with the tip of the child told them they could not enroll the pre-adopted children. 2 of the families pursuing the private adoption told us if they were unable to enroll the children with the deers while waiting final of adoption. 1 family case for 18 months. Many of the families difficult enrolling the pre-adopted children in deers delayed child access for the children youth program TRICARE with a health provider. Some of the health families adopted privately said that they delayed access to the TRICARE with a health provider privately, particularly stressed because of the child that may not have another form of the health insurance during the time. For example, a few military families adopted privately had to pay out of pocket to get time sensitive with infinite checkups with the non-TRICARE providers. Despite the DoD stated that the objective to provide benefits to success of the members of the family that's probably the national defense strategy that we found with the military family varies with enrolling foster for 3 adopted children that were delayed. For instance, some of the families that spoke with assessing interpreters and support of the families sharing with the internal control of the federal government, share with the agents of the management, share with internally communicate with the necessary quality information achieved, and these objectives the information should be communicated down and across the reporting lines enable the person able to perform key roles and achieve these objectives. Furthermore, management should select the appropriate method to communicate internally such as the information readily available on a timely basis unless the DoD promotes awareness among the personnel responsible for enrolling eligible family members to the guidance for the enrolling foster pre-adopted children. But in the military foster adopted families continue to face barriers enrolling the foster pre-adopted children and deal with accessing the full range available to the military with the benefits in which they are eligible. So, conclusion, although the process of the fostering and adopt is complex and sometimes lengthy, the individual family members, service members, and their families may face particular difficulty to do the frequent move of the deployment that inherit the military with the efforts of the DoD play for the important role in ensuring the service of the member of the family with the need of the maintaining the stability with the resiliency, work-life balance with the chase in the Department of Defense provide some of the assistance for the service of the member of the family pursuing the foster care of adoption to make service over the other support for the service member that may also address the need for the foster adopt the families. However, we support spreads a couple of multiple programs offer limited to the outreach for the awareness of the support over among foster and adoptive families with the military program, child welfare agencies, the family, the Department of Defense may potentially miss opportunities to support with the meet with the need of the population. In addition, with the Department of Defense, all the service members of the families are eligible for the foster of the pre-adopted children and the opportunity except for the military ship with the benefits of the enrollment of the military benefits of years. However, the lack of clarity, DoD kind of the inconsistency between the guidance of the Department of Defense regulation required for the documentation enrollment of foster children as well as the lack of the familiarity experience enrolling both foster and the pre-adopted children among the personal responsibility enrolling eligible family members of the DoD that have created limited barrier with the family success, without ensuring with the guidance of the foster children enrollment consistent with the Department of Defense regulation, regular promoting awareness, information eligibility required with the document enrollment that foster for the pre-adopted children, the some of the families may not be accessed, support services from which eligible potential resulting unmet need for the both families and the children. Recommendations for executive action. Make the following of three recommendations. Secretary of Defense should provide with a centralized location with a promote awareness, information, foster adoption-related policies available to the DoD support, better assist military foster adoptive families. For example, the Secretary of Defense could provide such information military one source view of the designated point person on installation through an existing installation program. Recommendation 1. Secretary of Defense should ensure the Secretary of Air of the Force Reserve revised Air Force Instruction 3630-26 Volume 1 in cooperation with the DoD components as appropriate to make consistent with the Department of Defense regulations required with the documents and enroll foster children in the tier of the recommended 2. The Secretary of Defense should ensure the Secretary of the Military Departments to identify opportunities regularly to promote awareness, accurate information guidance with the incorporate with the information on enrollment of both foster and pre-adopted children and all state staff that are responsible to the DOD's enrollment. For example, the military departments could coordinate with the relevant officer for the promote awareness for the guidance through the annual trainings of the other training mechanism. Recommendation 3. Agency comments and war evaluations when provided draft of the report with the Department of Defense, Homeland, Department of Health and Human Services review with a component with the Department of Defense provide with the written comment that reproduce the Appendix 3 as well as the technical comments that is incorporated. The Department of Health and Human Services does not provide any comment. The written comments of the Department of Defense generally can concur with the 3 recommendations. Respond with the first recommendation, centralize with the information available to support. Department of Defense stated that explore the opportunities and with existing information with the force adopt the resource for the military, one source for the promo with the awareness of the resource of the Department of Defense. Also stated to ensure the Secretary of the Military Department to explore the identification of the installation level of office appointed with the contact foster adoptive family assistance. In response to our second recommendation, receive the information of the Air Force instruction on enrolling foster children and benefits of the Department of Defense agree with the offer of adoption related to policies developed and implemented by the Secretary's Military Department consistent with the Department of Defense policy with the DoD. Suggest the Secretary of Air Force should take the lead with the revising Air Force instruction cooperation with the DoD components is appropriate with the document issued under the authority of the Secretary of the Air Force, where therefore revised on the recommendation direct the Secretary of the Air Force in response to a third recommendation, promote awareness guidance of the enrolling foster pre-adopted children. The DoD agreed with the promoting awareness of the guidance includes accurate information on enrolling both foster and pre-adopted children and tiers on the DoD stated that will ensure the setup, sure steps to take with examine the department-wide training with evaluate operational guidance, personal responsibility for the tiers enrollment. However, the DoD stated the responsibility for promoting awareness and information fails on the purview of the Secretary of Military Department to oversee the operation of site for the responsible to tiers. We therefore revise our recommendation direct to the Secretary of the Military Departments. When sending the copy of the report, appropriate Congressional Committee, Secretary of the Defense, Secretary of the Health, Human Services of the report available to do in charge of the GAO.gov. And if you see the staff questions concerning the report, please contact me 202-512-7215 LA Rink at GAO.gov. Contact points office with Congressional Relations Public Affairs may be found on the last page of the report. King contributed report listed in Appendix 4. Catherine A. Laren, Director, Education, Workforce, Income Security Issues. Listed committees and federal data, site visits, discussion groups, interviews, review, documents, and that should do, and then Appendix 2, which is a comparison of the Department of Defense regulation, Air Force instruction related to enrolling foster children and military benefits. So we made it to, okay, you can look at this, GAO, obtaining copies of order phone, GAO, fraud, congressional, public affairs, strategic external liaison. That's a quick look at the United States Governing Accounting Office of the Board of Congressional Committees, Military Family Edition with the DoD action could better support military foster and adoptive families.